Then the next item of business is the approval of minutes. And I want you to notice on the agenda that these minutes are ordered kind of from left to right or right to left. I mean, the one at first is the latest one and the one that's second is the earlier one. So my proposal is that we start with December 20th. So is there a motion to approve the minutes of December 20?
So moved.
Fabulous. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any corrections to these minutes? Okay, ready to vote on the minutes, on the question of approving the minutes, Nat?
Yes.
Tammy? Tammy, you are very faint, but I did see you say yes. Eugene?
Yes.
Farah?
Yes.
Thank you. Lee?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next are the minutes from January 8th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you so much. Corrections to those minutes? Okay, on the question of approving the minutes, Nat?
Yes.
Tammy? Again, we're having trouble hearing you, but I did say you say yes. Eugene?
Yes.
Farah?
Yes.
Lee Edwards?
Yes.
And Austin Sarah votes yes. Okay, thank you. We next have on the agenda public comment. There are 5 attendees. If any of our attendees would like to make a comment, if they would raise their virtual hand, we'll recognize you and bring you into the Zoom. I see one hand. Okay, Arlie.
Hello. You can
Hello.
hear. Hi. Arlie Gould, South Amherst. I just want to tell you a couple of thoughts on my mind. I keep hearing and reading over and over and over that the town is paying 15.8 million and, no more than that. But that doesn't count the interest on the loan that the town will assume. So it's 15.8 million plus 9 million, which is 24.8 million. And that's what the town is actually paying. And this is significant, particularly because on the town website where it talks about the 4 capital projects, it is pointed out that when the fire station project gets going, they want to not pay for it with a loan, which would save millions of dollars in interest payments. So that's like a selling point, for the project. So say the actual cost is actually more than 15.8 million. Also, because the finances of the library fundraising are so opaque, many in town are concerned that the library, in fact, doesn't have enough money to cover its share. And in the future won't have enough to cover, the inevitable cost overruns that will occur. And from inflation and things. And so that the town will have to step in to, keep the project afloat. So this is a concern among friends and neighbors and people who I talk to. And, the taxpayers, all of us, I guess, are gonna have to foot the bill. So if anybody could talk to, particularly the second point, give some confidence, real concrete confidence that the money is there, that would be very appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlie. Thank you for your comments. I see no other public comment, so we'll move to the president's report. So I think that concerns about the financing of the project and the town's contribution are best addressed to the town. Rather than the trustees. The trustees have been clear about what we think we are doing. We're clear about our plan. We're clear about our commitment. We have a summer redesign invoice. There's a motion here, and the motion is to approve an additional $1,650 from the endowment for a summer expense invoice. The invoice is from Feingold Alexander. It's in your packet. So is there a motion to approve? I mean, is there a second to the motion to approve an additional $1,650 from the endowment to cover this expense?
I second.
Okay. Discussion of the motion. Okay, on the question of approving the motion, Nat,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Yes, we heard it faintly. Eugene,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
and Austin votes yes. Now, the next item is my favorite item.
Oh,
I look forward to this much as anything, and that is once a year, we plan to review the bylaws of the trustees to make sure that we're all conversant with them. And to look at them and see if anything in them needs to be updated. So this is not, there's no motion yet on the table because maybe nothing needs to be done to them. But this is your chance to raise any questions, get any clarifications about the trustee bylaws. Farah.
Yeah, I was just curious about Appendix A, duties of the officers of the board, number 9, which says the president chairs the Robert Frost Teaching Awards Committee to disperse annual awards to Amherst teachers. I'm just curious what that is because I don't recall hearing anything about it in my 2.5 years here.
So the Robert Frost Award is given by the public schools, the high school.
Okay.
And we are invited to send a representative to the high school to meet with people there and to decide on who will get the award. It is not an action on behalf of the trustees. In other words, we don't vote on it. That's why you haven't heard about it. And some years I've done it. Many years I've asked someone to go and be there in my stead. The times that I've done it, we don't chair it. I mean, you're there, and the high school people have really done all the work, and there's not a lot of responsibility associated with it, except to go and hear about all the wonderful things that teachers in the Amherst schools are doing, and to celebrate them.
Oh, okay. That sounds great. Thanks.
I was hoping you were going to volunteer and say, could I go next time?
I don't mind going next time. And now that I've said that, I do have a few little things that I would love to work on the bylaws, which I can do with Sharon. It's just some spellings and a little bit of grammar here and there. If that's okay.
There's nothing substantive.
No. Things like making fundraising one word and ongoing one word. Nothing major.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that the board consents to this. And this would be regarded not as a policy decision or policy change. This is just a kind of grammatical this and that. Okay, are we all good with that? Okay, any other questions about the bylaws?
So I do.
Nat?
I may have missed something here, but I was reading through it. This is section 3 or article 3, officers,
Yep,
section 2.
yep,
So the board is authorized to fill by election any vacancy except that of the president provided for in this article.
yep.
And I don't know where it's provided for. What happens if the president resigns? I don't see. Am I
So what
missing
it says,
something?
here's the way I understand it. But maybe I don't understand it correctly. The office of the president becomes vacant would be occupied by the vice chair of the board. That's what I understand until there would be an annual meeting. But if you want to provide some other language, see, that's what I get from reading Article 1, right? And then you read the duties of the officers. Does that help?
Right. Yep.
So if you go to the Appendix A, number B1,
Right.
vice
Assumes the duties.
assumes the duties.
Yep. Makes sense.
All right, any other questions about the bylaw? Do we love this or what? No.
My
You-
favorite part.
You people apparently, have any of you seen the movie Conclave?
Mm-hmm,
Yes.
yes,
Well, then you gotta love this.
yes.
I just saw it the other day.
Yeah,
We
Well,
don't. We don't.
should
We
we
don't
all
provide
read?
for white smoke, though, do we?
not yet. Wait till the renovated and expanded building happens. So I do want to call your attention to one provision of these bylaws, which I'm now it's Article 6. Collective authority of the Board of Trustees. All decisions of the board shall be made by a vote of a quorum of the board as a collective body, and that's not the sentence. No individual member may make decisions, act, or speak for the board unless specifically authorized to do so by the membership of the board. So we are not free, I am not free to go and represent the board without your knowledge of it, so to speak, and your agreement with it. Now, we authorize each other to do that when we say you're going to be on the BCG or you're going to be on the Joint Capital Planning Committee. But we want to just make sure that we're not representing the board in any way without the board having authorized us to do it. And if you do, the penalty is they make you pay your library fines. Okay, any other questions about the bylaws? All right, we will look forward to this conversation next year, and I want to thank Sharon for remembering it. Okay. So, next on the agenda is the Library Building Committee. So the Library Building Committee is in the 106 process. And we've heard, as you know, from the Massachusetts Historic Commission about a couple of things that they've asked us to do to deal with adverse effects, which, as you know, because of our last meeting and vote, we are prepared to do. The 106 process will continue. There'll be another meeting of the so-called consulting parties in the hope that we can get to a point where we can have a memorandum of agreement, which would be signed by the town and Mass Historic and the trustees. Any questions about any of that? Okay. Next item is a report from our fabulous Buildings and Facilities Committee.
We met on Tuesday and it was good. George was back. There were a couple of things. He said the front elevator is okay, but the state inspection was delayed. And I guess they're coming. Sharon, I can't remember. Did he say they're coming next month or March?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but yes,
Okay.
it has been rescheduled.
Yeah, but he said it's functioning, so we don't have to worry about that. There was one little, the heating is working just fine. There was one little concern that there might be some individual checking the cars in the parking lot and checking to see if they're locked and maybe removing items from the cars that are unlocked. They haven't been able to figure out who, I think somebody saw the person, but they're not sure. So I think George is going to get in touch with the police department to just let them know. But nothing, I mean, no one's broken into the cars, but this is happening. And we didn't really talk about the backup project options because it's on hold until we're through this 106 process. I think that was it. Did I miss anything, Sharon or Tammy? No? Okay.
Any questions for Buildings and Facilities? How was this person observed? I mean, did someone
I-
see them?
I think one person saw them. The cameras didn't pick up anything, right, Sharon? And they're not breaking in. I think they're just taking stuff if a car is open. So people are locking their cars.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, thank you. Okay. No other questions for Buildings and Facilities? We'll go on to Development. Lee Edwards.
Okay, I'm gonna begin with the annual fund,
Great.
which has been enormously successful. The end of the year campaign was tremendous. I'll just remind you that as of the end of November, the campaign had brought in a little under $50,000. As of the end of December, the campaign had brought in $96,703.18, which
Wow.
seems to me really good. And it's better compared last year. December ended at 80,465. So we're really ahead. And this may be too much in the weeds, so you could stop me. We have more gifts, but now we're starting to count donors because apparently, and I need to find out more about this, we have donors who give multiple times a year. And in the past, every time they gave, they got counted as giving a gift, which I think we should count. But now we're trying to track both of these numbers. So, but it turns out that we had 369 donors last month, and 112 of those had also given to the capital campaign.
Mhm.
And so we're going to try to keep track of all of those numbers now. And if I learn anything interesting, I'll tell you more.
Lee, just so I understand, you said you had 369 separate donations in the month of December?
That's the information that I have. I myself have not gone into,
Okay.
yeah, good. Okay, so the annual fund is really doing very well. The capital campaign, I'll just repeat what I think you know, because you were all there at the exciting event. But in the last month, the capital campaign increased by over $500,000 in gifts and pledges. To be exact, $533,612 and change. The endowment is at $8,798,369. The Woodbury Fund is at $774,726. I will note that 500,000 of that 774,000 has now been pledged to the capital campaign, but is remaining with the library until such a moment or two moments when we definitely know the project is going forward and when the town wants that money there. But it is in the bank. And this is just tangential, but the Capital Campaign Committee is continuing to organize library tours. And we've discovered that the weekends are the best time to do that. And they're ongoing, and I lead them sometimes, Kent leads them sometimes. We've had 12, 14 people, which you don't want 14 more people on your tour. But so we're going to keep doing them because people are really interested and they seem to be useful, and people can decide if they want to come with Kent, who will tell them everything anybody wants to know about the history of the library, or me, who just wants them to walk through so they can see how dysfunctional and inadequate the current library building is. That's my report.
Thank you, Lee. Questions for Lee? So Lee, it would be very helpful if you could remind us of the total now raised by the Capital Campaign Committee.
Well, it was in my notes and I forgot to read it.
Well,
We are
that's
now
what you have.
over $10 million. We have raised $10,343,584. And I'm sure if I had the actual thing, there'd be some pennies after that. Yeah, we're over $10 million in contributions, funds raised and pledges, yes.
And could you remind us of a little bit of the breakdown, if you could, how much of that has come from grants and how much of it's come from the community and
All right, I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me,
okay,
but I will for next month.
yeah, and if it is possible, it would be great to submit all of that as we have in the past on a written, thing, so it's there.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be, I think, helpful to all of us to be able to see it every, when we hear these reports. And I think I ask you this every month, and I think you say the same thing. And because I like repetition and routine, I'm going to ask it again so you can say the same thing, which is, what is the activity? What is going on? What is the capital campaign doing? And now you can say your part.
we are meeting and we are making plans in anticipation of the project actually going forward.
There you go. All right. Any other questions for Lee now that she's done her part? Farah?
I think some of this information is on the capital campaign website. Is
I'm
that
sure
right,
it is.
Lee? Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
So
I'm
yes,
sorry,
we can get it
I
from
forgot.
there.
I assumed that, anyway, I'll make sure it comes up as part of the trustees attachments for next month.
Yeah, I think our hope is that every month we get that.
Yeah.
Part of our packet. So that's
Yeah.
great. That is great. And congratulations on the annual fund. Did you do anything different?
I am not responsible for the nitty gritty of what it's done, but yes, there are wonderful people uh, on the Friends board and in relation to the Friends who have been reorganizing how we are asking for money and when and what our appeals look like
Right?
that I think is having an effect.
Oh, that's great. That's great news. Really great. Great. Thanks, Lee.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
next is the Personnel Planning and Policy Committee. Tammy?
Okay, I'm sorry you can't, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, we discussed, two things. One is the governance, so-called governance chart that Eugene is working on, and we're hoping to finalize that and bring it to the board at the next meeting. Eugene,
Right.
do you want to make any comment about that?
Sure, we didn't quite get it to a point where we could vote to approve it in the last meeting. But it's essentially done now, so I think we're in really good shape for the 11 February meeting that we're about to have, where we could approve it and then bring it to the meeting, the trustees meeting next month, excuse me, the February meeting.
Okay, Eugene has done a great job on this. It's quite impressive.
I would love to
Um,
manage expectations. It's only like 5 or 6 slides. So,
Well,
but we can
it's
talk about that
important.
next meeting.
Okay, and Farah, do you want to report on Jedi?
Yeah, let's see. We met a couple of weeks ago. We actually, what was really helpful was we had a community member speak during public comment, trying to figure out what the library was doing for MLK Day and for Black History Month. And at the person, I think, emailed Sharon and the staff after, and I'm figuring that you guys are working something out, Sharon, because she offered to help facilitate some programming. So any update on that?
Well, all kids, teens, and adults, there were some items that were already in the pipeline, and now there are more items in the pipeline, and I don't have the specifics in front of me.
Okay. But that was really great that she came that day and she made a comment. I wish more people would show up at this meeting. It was good because we had this conversation about how, you know, Black History Month shouldn't be the only time we have all these programs. But one of the great things about this month, this month is we're on the same page, we're reading Erasure, and then it coincides with what is it? Lit Fest at Amherst College. And if you guys got the email, register. I have registered. So that's pretty exciting. I went a couple of years ago and that was it was quite an experience. A couple of our members went to a staff meeting to figure out what staff are doing in terms of diversity training and programming. So, and in terms of trying to figure out if they should prepare a survey to go out to the public to find out what the community wants from them. But this is all like, it's still in discussion phases about some of these things. And a couple of us are going to meet with department heads next week to talk about programming and see how we can bring that in with the Jedi angle, and also how to do outreach to the community to find out what the community wants more from us. The staff is doing a DEI training next month, and it's also been offered to Jedi members. So I signed up. I don't know if anyone else has signed up yet. I think that was it. It's always like our 1 hour seems really short because everybody gets really excited and we're all talking over each other, even though we try not to. And that's about it. Did I miss anything, Sharon? No.
Thank you, Farah.
Oh, you're welcome. Questions?
Any
Austin?
questions for Farah?
yeah, Austin calls on Austin. So I may have asked this question before, and I was thought of it because of what Gene is, I assume Gene is doing, but we expect nothing. Whatever we get, we're gonna be so grateful for. So expectations are really low for what you're gonna produce. Have you all been in touch with, I'm just curious about what other libraries are doing around the issues that you are exploring? Are there good models anywhere? Like, gee, that library is really on the cutting edge of,
Um, we have not done, but thanks for adding that to our to-do list,
Yeah.
because I think we've been so, like, we've started slowly trying to communicate with the staff at the library to find out more about what they can do, what we can do, how we can get the community involved. But I will add that to our agenda for next
Right.
month, because I think that would be a good thing, good next step. So,
Yeah.
yes, I will do my
Sharon-
homework and add that to the agenda.
Sharon may know or may be able to reach out to folks to find out, but,
Yeah.
okay. Any other questions? Farah, thank you for that work.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Okay. Lee Edwards has to stay after school because she gave part of this committee's report under the last committee that but so Lee, could you tell us about budget and investment?
Investment, yes,
There you
all
go.
right. Right, I'm sorry, right, I should have left
Okay,
this, right. Oh, okay, the only, uh, mostly nothing uneventful happened. We went over the ongoing, budget developments in relationship to what's going on this year. There's still a certain amount of uncertainty depending on what happens, but nothing looks untoward. So the only thing that was, there were, there was one thing that was noted that might be worth saying. Special Collections actually has over $100,000 available to support its activities that cannot be spent. I mean, it's restricted for acquisitions and that cannot be spent because the current building cannot accommodate any additional acquisitions. So I think that might be worth noting.
yeah,
And then this is more kind of speculative. Some of us are looking at, I don't know whether this is fundraising or budget, it's confusing, but there might be the possibility of raising more money through grants, specifically devoted to community outreach that cannot now be accommodated because the building can't accommodate the kinds of outreaches for which grants could support programming. So that's a kind of ongoing thing. But those are the only two exciting items.
right. Questions for Lee about the investment figures that were mentioned earlier or the budget? So may I just ask a question? I don't know if this is for you, Lee, or for the director. About the 25 actual summary, the updated January 16th, 2025. And I just want clarification because I looked at the percentage spent in these categories
Oh,
and they're kind of all over the place
Mm.
in terms of it's, it's not like we're at the halfway point and it's 50%, whatever it is. And I just wondered about that. Some of the categories are, programming says 82% has been spent. Benefits, it says 99%. I just want to make sure I understood those figures.
So I printed off the budget, but I only have the balances in front of me. I didn't do the summary. So I don't have it in front of me, but like, so salaries, for example, that's at 100, or not salaries, benefits, that's at 100% because halfway through the year, the town comes in and takes the amount that goes towards library staff salaries, as opposed to waiting or doing it gradually. So that's why that's at 100%. The town has taken the money. And the others, again, I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just not sure. Programming, I know the programming is through the roof, in all the good ways. It's been super active. Staff are really having a blast, I gotta say. And the activities are so well attended. So that's a reflection of whatever money has been spent. And the friends have been amazing. You know, the staff, we make requests, and the friends are excited to be a part of that. And so we're really thankful. I'm thinking of the categories. There's building maintenance. You know, we haven't, other than the elevators, I don't think we've had any other large breakdowns this year.
Building maintenance is at 65%.
Okay, so that's kind of where it should be then.
Operations is at 30. Oh, I'm sorry, Lee.
No, you finished, but when you're done, I'll,
No.
You
I
can
was
call
just
on
gonna
me.
go through these categories because I want
Alright.
Sharon to come back to the thing about benefits. Because I want to just make sure I understood it. So I didn't when you said it.
Okay, so yeah, so fabulous question, and it's just a part of the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So the town appropriates X amount of dollars for salaries, and then there's a separate line for the months in rental, and then there's a separate line for benefits.
Got it.
And as far as salaries go, they take that money as we're being paid. So they take it as time continues, goes on. The benefits, on the other hand, I've never asked why.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't take it like on July 1st. And I don't know why it happens in January. I don't know if that's when they have to pay the health insurance bill, but they're taking our money, they're taking the school's money, and then the town hall, employees, and so it's kind of the big monster.
But our employees continue to get their benefits. That's
Oh
what,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
It's the way they track how much it really costs to run the library versus the town versus the schools.
Lee.
Okay. If I get all this wrong, Nat, you will correct me, all right? In a kind of rational bookkeeping world, you have two documents. You have your budget and your expenses.
Yeah.
Okay. What we see every month is what Sharon needs to run the library, which is an ongoing conversation between budget and expenses. I
Okay.
have sat on the budget committee now for my sins for as long as I've been a library trustee, which I can't even count high enough. All right. So and these so the numbers in the various categories, they shift every month depending on what's actually going on in the library. And Sharon is giving us the document that she needs so she knows how much money is in each account so she doesn't get overspent and she can move money from one place to another, which shifts the percentages on the end.
Yeah.
And having run what many people might say was a similarly rickety institution for 15 years, that's what I needed as a dean to run my enterprise. And thank God nobody was looking at what it was every month. But what's going on now is what Sharon's done for as long as I have been on the budget committee. And it used to drive the other person on the budget committee nuts because he was used to this other way of organizing activities. And so if the trustees want a budget and expense every month, I'm sure Sharon could provide it, but I hope you don't ask her. Because this enables her to run the library.
So I think we kind of get it. That's what I'm trying to
Yep,
figure
yep.
out.
Yep,
So there's what have we spent? What are our revenue sources? And I look at these monthly and I see what the numbers are.
yep.
And I generally don't pay attention to the percentages. I will say that, but this month when I read it, two numbers jumped out at me, which is why I asked. One was the benefits, and I thought, oh my God, our employees aren't gonna have benefits in the spring. And the other was the programming, which is at 82%. So that's what I just wanted to understand a little bit more about. And the programming is a little more straightforward, and I'm glad to hear what Sharon said. And I assume that we might make another ask from the Friends if we need to do more programming. I understand that the categories are fungible, but I didn't think that the benefits category was fungible, which is why I asked the question. So, I just wanted to make sure people are going to continue to get their benefits. Nat?
Oh, just for perspective on that, so you're looking at the January 16th or something.
Yeah.
At the last budget and investment meeting, we were looking at the January 8th sheet, and on that one, benefits were at 0%, because the town hadn't come in and swept up all that. So basically, that just happened between the 8th and the 16th. So it's not a kind of pro rata over the course of the year.
That's helpful, because if I'd seen the 0%, I would have had the same reaction. Like, are we not paying benefits? So, right. So that was my budget. That was my budget question. Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Next, we have a report from the Friends.
Good afternoon. Our next meeting of the Friends of the Jones Library is the first Tuesday in February. We are struggling a little bit to find a meeting time that is mutually convenient or agreeable for everybody on the executive board. But at the same time, we're also looking, I think we're a couple of members short on the executive board, and so we're always looking for new members. So if you have any ideas on that front, Marion Walker is our president, and would entertain those. We are trying to get our fundraising ducks in a row for the coming year. I think we have a tentative date for pickleball, which looks like it's going to be a fixture on November 9th of 2025. We were pretty successful with the last pickleball tournament last year, especially for a bunch of novices in terms of how to run such a thing. Apparently the people who participated, who apparently are like nomads traveling between pickleball events, they essentially were extremely complimentary about what the pickleball experience in Amherst was. So they were extremely happy about that. So we apparently are on the map, and we raised, Lee may correct me on this, or Nat, but I think we raised in the ballpark of $17,000 from this event. We don't want to create outrageous expectations, but we would hope to do something similar or around that number later on this year. I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Rich. So I do have a question. I think I raised it. I think I raised it, but I don't remember when. And that is, we had what I thought was a terrific tradition of an annual joint meeting between the Board of Trustees of the library and the Board of the Friends. And I'm eager to revive that. activity or that tradition. And I wonder whether,
I think you raised it last time, and I think I may have forgotten to bring it up at the meeting. So I can raise it on the 4th of February.
it would be great if you work with Sharon and come up with some possible date for a joint meeting. I think it's great for the Friends Board to see all of us and for us to see the Friends Board and to
I agree.
talk about
Yes.
our joint
Thank you.
interests. Okay, any questions for the Friends? Thank you, Rich.
You're welcome.
Convey our gratitude to your colleagues. Okay, next is the director's report.
Many thanks to Petra Pendroff, our head of branch services. She was able to submit to you a bunch of information about what's going on at the branches. And I will do what I can to answer questions. I want to give another shout out to her because she just started maternity leave on Tuesday because she had a baby, which is wonderful, another library baby. And so Sarah Stroud has now stepped up to the plate, and she'll be serving as the head of branch services for the next 3 months, and Sarah's wonderful. And then I pulled a bunch of information from Cecilia, head of teen services. The amount of teen programming that Cecilia oversees is pretty darn spectacular. And so I'm happy to answer questions about that. Like I said, the programming is through the roof. I was at another meeting somewhere, somehow, and somebody mentioned going to the MBLC's website and comparing the Jones Library with other libraries in terms of programming attendance, and ours was the highest. And it doesn't surprise me at all. And it's what the staff love. It's really time consuming, and putting out the PR and really hoping that people are going to be interested in what they're putting down, but the community really responds. So I'm really thankful to the staff for all of that. And the cold weather, this week, the town of Amherst, I want to thank the town of Amherst for kind of including the library as a warming center. That I thought that was really wonderful, and people are certainly taking advantage of it, and so we're lucky to be able to provide that service. And Farah already did a shout out for On the Same Page. If you haven't read Erasure, I encourage you to do so. I think that's everything. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Sharon. Questions about the director's report? So, yeah, Nat.
Oh, so I just wanted to say it's amazing to see all that teen activity going on. And the one thing that I remember hearing a lot about the building is that that's one of the areas where we are, most deficient in providing for the teens. Is how are we overcoming that, or what are the challenges there?
Thank you for asking. And it's really taking the Woodbury room and transforming it. So it goes back and forth all day long, every single day between, okay, here's a kids event, clean it up. Now here's a teen event, clean it up. Here's an ESL event, clean it up. Here's an adult event, clean it up. It's, facility staff and library staff constantly setting up chairs, taking down tables. It's a nightmare. And it's really, it can be very frustrating, but the pros far outweigh the cons. So that's certainly one of the amazing benefits of the building project, is that library staff and the community won't have to kind of, duke it out over who gets the Woodbury room to have a program.
Other questions? So I have a couple quick things. We annually try to do something to celebrate the staff around the holidays. And we give gift cards, I think. Is that my? And I'm just curious what, I mean, oh, it was great, and we went and had coffee and we wouldn't have had, I mean, was there any reaction to the, other than gratitude?
Oh, yeah, no, so yes, they're very thankful. I think right now, as far as morale in general goes, everybody is nervous about the building project. They want it to move forward, but they want to know, because so much planning, I can't even quantify how much planning is involved. And so right now we are allowing community members and the library programming to reserve our meeting rooms to the end of March. That's what we're prepared to do right now.
Mm.
And then we'll take it as it comes after that. But you know, once we sign a contract with a general contractor, the building will belong to them. We will have to get out. We will have to get out quickly. It will take IT at least 2 weeks to set up the new spaces and to disassemble the Jones IT so that we can, move in. And so staff are antsy to start preparing for it. And one of the issues is because we don't know where we're going to be in the interim yet, they can't really start preparing. I mean, a year ago, they had a plan. But if we're going to be in different spaces, that affects what the plan is. Is adult services going to be near teen services, or are they going to be in two separate buildings? And that affects, how staff are going to be functioning. They have to come up with new workflows, and then they have to advertise all of that to the community so the community knows where to go. So people are stressed over that.
Yep,
On
far.
top of the political climate that's going on in the country and librarians being attacked. Sorry, go ahead.
No, they'll probably also start gearing up for the summer reading program pretty early, right, Sharon?
So usually that starts in like February, March. And what
Right.
we had to do last year was pretty much the planning for it. There was not much planning for it going on, because we were going to be in different spaces, and they had to rely on other locations to actually hold those programs. So no, they're not going to be doing it any earlier. We're all kind of on the edge of our seat waiting to find out where we're going to be.
Right. Okay.
Other questions for the director? So I have one other question, which is I want to check in with you and with the board to find out how you are doing. And I would appreciate it if the PPP would do that. How are you doing? What, if anything, can we do to be helpful to you in the work that you are doing? We look at your annual evaluation. We do an annual evaluation. We're kind of at the halfway point, and I just want to make sure that you are getting what you need by way of support from the board, from the town, in any other way. And if the PPP would just check in with you and let us know if there's anything that we can or should be doing to be supportive, more supportive, differently supportive. I think it would be a good thing to do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And, in the short term, like just off top of my head, I just really appreciate how accessible all of you are. Like I never feel alone. And that's really important. So thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, anything else? All right, when's our next meeting, Sharon?
February 27th.
So I'm not gonna see you before Valentine's. So I'll be nervously awaiting to see if I get Valentine's from the board members. It's okay.
Don't
So-
hold your breath.
Come on.
No, we have been instructed.
May I just say, Nat's response relived for me the entire trauma of my elementary school, in which some kid would taunt me with that very same phrase, don't hold your breath, or actually, hold your breath until you die.
So I just want to echo what you were saying about, very low expectations for what Eugene is preparing. And so having low expectations is always a great way to approach things. That's what I'm trying to.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You people are terrible. We will rise above.
That is very.
We will be waiting for our Valentines from you.
You'll all get
Okay,
orchids.
Chocolate is good.
have a happy Valentine's Day. I look forward to seeing you soon. Stay well, everybody.
You
Bye-bye.
too, and
Thank
Thank
warm.
you.
Bye.
Take care.